On this episode of the Layover Live, Marla Tambellini stops by to talk growing your marketing team.
Jason, no funny intro this time?
Marketing is serious business, Grant.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 103 of the Layover Live, where we bring you the top article from the Layover each week. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Digital Marketing, joined by a very special guest and someone I've known for actually quite a long time. Right? We've done a little bit of work together, right?
We've
seen each other around a little bit.
Yes.
Marla Tambellini is here from Explore Asheville, where she heads their marketing team, handles PR, research, and probably a million other things, Marla, right?
Yeah, everything in between.
Everything in between. So super excited to have you here. One is because I really respect a lot of what you do on the marketing side of the fence, especially as you've grown your team. And so this article this week comes from MarketingLand, which talks about broadening your marketing team's skill sets and starting to look at that, especially as a lot of teams are kind of moving to this agile approach. Some are moving, some aren't. We kind of dabble in it also a little bit. But it's a really good article and around the fact that, you know, as we think about marketers, kind of the old school way of looking at things is we kind of became very specialized in one skill, or we had team members that were very specialized in one skill. And I think nowadays, as we're growing our marketing teams and thinking about the people in our teams, it's not important to only have depth in your skill sets, to really start to broaden your skill sets. And the marketing article this week kind of talks about dabbling beyond the specialty of your team. So how do you get your team to really grow their skills, because many of them, quite honestly, have skills that maybe don't even pertain to their job, but we should push them and stretch them. So how do you make sure your team's capabilities at Explore Asheville are expanding beyond just a specific specialty for their particular job?
Well, I think first of all for us, part of it starts at the very beginning, because when I look at resumes, I'm looking at a variety of different skill sets, some of which may not necessarily be specific to the job. And so, I've got people like a former television news reporter who is managing our social media efforts. So he brings a variety of different skills to the table that kind of are outside that and translate over into the PR realm, or providing video production assistance. And so, when I'm looking at resumes, that's important. But I think when we then we lean into those skills amongst the team. We also work on big picture projects, like many bureaus do, from a collaborative standpoint. And so sometimes there are things that need to happen that, one team is kind of ensconced in a certain element of that, and so another team will kind of make sure that those connections are in place, and then they can pick up some of the additional assistance. That happens a lot for us between content and PR. And then, as we work together, there are times when, I might have somebody who has some graphic expertise who's new to the team who will pick up that piece. So, like I said, it starts from the beginning of making sure that you have a good understanding of the skill set of the people who come in, and then being able to, jump in. We're a relatively small team.
Yeah.
So,
you have to find those pockets.
Yeah,
right?
and then that helps us be more nimble.
Yes.
We're not always nimble, but those things help us become a little bit more nimble.
And I love hearing you say it really starts in the beginning, right? Even before someone comes on the team, hey, I'm looking for these things.
Right.
When people are just candidates and I'm trying to bring them in here. Hey, this person has some experience over here in A, which may benefit me over in B. I love to hear that. That's really great. So then, being a strong leader like yourself then, Marla, it's not only knowing what your team's capabilities are, but knowing then, hey, this probably extends even beyond our skill sets if I stretch this, and I need to probably look outside for help. So when are you looking then externally to an agency or a vendor, as opposed to then doing something internally with your team?
So we have a very talented staff. I can't express that enough, but on the other hand, as I mentioned, we're a smaller staff. So a couple of things just right off the bat leads to partnerships with vendors and expansion of partnerships with vendors. And one of those is capacity, and the other is expertise. So we may have, a strategic direction or a pathway that we want to go down, but we may not have all of the expertise to be able to pull it off. And so we're looking for our partner to help us with that. And then it's a matter of trying to integrate our efforts, translating strategy, but then integrating depending on the project or what it is, our efforts so that it creates alignment with the partner and then other vendors that we're working with. That's one of the things that we're really working on this year, Jason. Too often it's easy to have your paid and your earned and your owned working in different silos. We all know that.
Very true.
And so it's been my holy grail. My team knows that's my holy grail to really make sure that all the the gears are working in tandem together, and that the different verticals in that marketing spectrum are thinking strategically within the entire marketing, the overarching marketing strategies.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point there, and I like hearing that. If we're looking at capacity and expertise, I think that's probably pretty common for most DMOs, as we're starting to think about looking at the skills of our team, looking at how we can grow and move things forward. So, being 2020 in a new year, maybe some recommendations out there for some things that have worked for you and have worked for your team as it relates. Maybe just some advice out there for DMOs out there about growing marketing skills on that side. What are some things that you look at and can leave a DMO out there with some expertise on?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. First of all, we're very big on professional development.
Wonderful. Love to hear that.
That's very much integrated into our culture. But beyond that, when we do our planning each year, and then when we go through even some quarterly meetings with our agencies and partners, we're looking to kind of understand and stay on top of trends. Identify the areas where we feel like we can lean into that make sense. I've told you before, I'm not a big believer in jumping into something new in technology just for the sake of that. We have to be very strategic about it.
Smart approach. Smart approach.
And then we use tools like many others through whether it's through project boards or internal communication tools. To be able to keep people abreast of like what's new, what's going on, what's different. We've done some internal exercises as, for example, Pecha Kuchas from the team members to bring
yes, I love that.
what's new and
we were talking
relevant.
about that earlier. That was really cool.
Yeah, and what's new and relevant and how they feel like it can impact us in the areas they feel like it can slide in to solve a problem.
Yep.
So those are just a few examples of some of the things that we're doing,
Yeah, I think the common theme here is not getting comfortable in your swamp, so to speak, right? I think as marketers, one thing's for certain, it's change. And we have to be open to these new ideas, new ways of doing things. Look at ways to expand our team's skill sets, right? Look at the capacity and expertise for ways to look, can I serve this with my team here or look other places? And then what tools and platforms can help me moving forward to be more efficient in what I do. So really good stuff. Yeah.
And as a CMO, you always have to be, trying to stay at least in pace with the curve,
Yes.
if not ahead of the curve. And some of those things you may or may not implement, but you need to be, out there. I've got a whole Twitter news feed, following different sites and stuff just to make sure
Same
that
here.
I
Yep.
understand relevancy in the marketplace in terms of what marketing's doing, what things are challenging, and what things do we need to be thinking about long term. Yes, you're looking at short term, but you always need to have a foot in the long term future.
Absolutely, and without a doubt, I mean, it's exactly why we created the Layover, right? Is to, because of all the content and we're receiving every week, what could we share back out that we thought was beneficial? So, Marla, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
Really love what you guys are doing at Explore Asheville. You've done such a great job there. And thanks for tuning in each and every week. We really appreciate you tuning in. If you're not subscribed, please do so now. We're also available on podcasts through Spotify and iTunes. Thank you very much. Thank you once again.
Yep.
We'll see you next time. Have a great day.
Thanks.